Oh my gosh, I just cut through my glove. It cut through and nicked me. Hello, what's going on, guys? Melissa Miller, aka Melissa Backwoods here, and I'm at my house. And we got some SCHRADE knives. SCHRADE has kind of been making a comeback lately. They have really expanded their budget line, and all of these are under $40. Now, a month ago, I tested their $99 OTF knife, torture tested it, and it did really well. So I was like, I'm kind of interested to see how some of their other budget lines do. And so I hit them up and had them send me 5 different folders. All of these are under $40. Welcome to my kitchen. It's a little messy right now. Well, it's not messy, it's just small and crowded. But this is where I do a lot of my knife cut testing, if you will. I have the knives right here, and yeah, I am going to do a little bit of cutting, and then we're going to talk about how well they all performed. So based on first impressions, I laid them out in order of which ones I thought would be the best or I liked the most. This being the most and this being the least. So I have my cutting board, testing gloves, and a whole bunch of different materials to test them on. So I'm gonna run these through the ringer, and then when we're done, we're gonna talk about them from favorite to least favorite. At least in terms of performance. So I made this chart, I have all the models, and as I'm cutting, I'm gonna be ranking them based on how they perform. Now for the test, I will be starting off with seatbelt, then moving on to polypropylene plastic rope. I'll be cutting into PVC discharge hose. This is how I cut Amazon packages, so I'll be testing it like that. I will also be seeing how all of these strip wire. Cardboard testing, I'll pretty much just be holding the cardboard like this and slicing downward. Last but not least, I will see how it cuts through this thick manila rope by holding it down. Oh my gosh, I just cut through my glove. It cut through and nicked me. Whoo! I would have cut my thumb off had I not had these on. Sometimes when I'm doing these cuts, I'm like right now I was watching it through the lens of the camera, which is a dumb idea. I'm gonna be right back to get some super glue. I was cutting way too close to my thumb, and I was cutting down. So usually when I'm cutting, I'm trying to always be pushing out this way. So if it does slip, it's gonna go out, not into my thumb. We are all glued up and the bleeding has stopped. It is important to show that stuff. These are tools, and I was misusing it. I was not cutting at the right angle. I like to show that stuff because I am by no means perfect, especially when I'm trying to film a video and cut at the same time. Just not a safe circumstance. That being said, let's talk about the knives, how they performed, what I liked about them, what I didn't. And yeah, we're just gonna get right into it, and we're gonna start with the knife that I preferred out of all of them. Right out of the box, this was my favorite knife out of all budget models. This is the Divergent. It is $35.99, so $36, and it has, I mean, first off, it is an attractive blade. We have this cool harpoon drop point shape, and it is a crossbar lock. In terms of testing, this did exactly what I thought it would. It performed the best out of all of these with a total score of 30. A really good budget option. That crossbar lock makes it fun, fidgety, but it is also a very functional shape. We have a drop point or harpoon type shape. We have a hollow grind, so it gets really thin. And yeah, it was slicing through all of these really well. It did the best in cutting the seatbelt, but that piercy tip also made it good for slicing Amazon bubble packages, doing cut downs on the cardboard, and even wire stripping. This did better than I thought, probably because it just has that thin hollow ground. AUS 8 steel, which from my research is pretty darn easy to sharpen. I don't have experience with AUS 8 steel, so I'm gonna hold on to this for a while, test it, but it is a Japanese stainless steel that is made for the budget range of knives. Grippy textured G10 handles. There is way too much branding because we have SCHRADE right there, then we have like a name right here, then we have SCHRADE right here, we have the logo again, but other than all that branding, I think that the blade shape is dang cool looking. There is pretty good tension on those Omega strings. I like it a little looser, but oh well. The edge on this could have held better, but I think that's a big gripe about AUS 8 steel. But other than that, first impressions, this was my favorite knife out of the bunch. And after all the testing, I can say it is also the most functional. It cuts the best, great shape, good looking blade, and it's relatively lightweight and pretty much all you need in terms of size for an EDC folder. Next up, we're going to talk about these two because I placed both of them pretty much in the same ranking on first initial impressions, and they both ended up performing quite similar in a lot of the cutting tests. So I'll start with the Verocity. This is $39.99, and this performed very well in a lot of the cut tests. It was second place in the seatbelt cutting, second place in the PVC discharge hose cutting, and I thought this, out of all of them, stripped the wire the best. This is a just cool looking knife. I like the black on black. Again, just a bit too much of the logoing. The machining on these G10 handles it looks cool and it feels really comfortable. Reversible deep carry pocket clip. I like this right here. That's going to protect your finger from sliding up and slicing yourself on that edge. Lanyard hole, it's got all the little things. My favorite part about the Verocity is that it is assisted opening, and the assisted opening on this feels fantastic. It's a good whippy, but not too whippy. Sometimes assisted opening, the spring just like juts the knife out a bit too much, but this is a very comfortable assisted opening knife. I genuinely really like the action on this. For under $40, this is a good deal. Spring assisted opening, looks cool, performs well on all the cutting tests. One thing I wish that they would do along with all their other models is I wish they would get some machining out on these steel liners, and that would provide a little bit more handle to blade balance. Because right now the balance point on this is just it's a bit further back than I would want it to be. Other than that, I'm pleased. The assisted opening one did not disappoint me. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, coming up on par, pretty much equal with the Verocity, is the $36 Steelhead, a Japanese-inspired blade shape that performed very well in a lot of the cut tests. The Steelhead especially shined in cutting the cardboard and the very thick, very hard to cut twist manila rope. Out of all of the knives, I mean, visually, this I think is the most attractive one. I just love a good classic Tanto blade shape. And you have a lanyard hole that is integrated directly into the steel liners. Ultra glide bearing opening, the action feels great. Like the other ones I mentioned, I do wish they took out some of the weight in the steel liners because that would just provide just a little bit better balance. To have like a slight hollow grind with that coating, which really made cutting cardboard with it feel really smooth. But again, this is a $35.99, and I think for that price point, I like what I see here quite a bit. Okay, next up, now we're going to the ones that didn't perform so well during the cutting test, but it is a pretty blade. This is the Inert. It is a liner lock that features aluminum handle. We have that AUS 10 steel, and it is a really cool looking blade. $29.99, so you can't complain too much. It definitely has a unique aesthetic and is unlike any of the other blades. I love the blue coloring with the steel, and one thing that this thing was a rock star at was opening Amazon packages, and that's because it's got that super piercy Wharncliffe blade shape. Performed pretty decent at the wire stripping too, but everything else, it was just kind of hard to cut through because it is a thicker blade stock, which is an interesting choice for such a slim, almost gentleman's looking type folder. Maybe it's like a gentleman's folder that you could probably kind of put through the ringer a little bit and it's not going to chip. Also, the balance point on this I would be lying if I said it didn't bother me a little bit. Is that so satisfying? Whoa. I don't use scissors to cut out like shipping labels. I just use a nice piercing knife. $29.99, cool looking blade, robotic, kind of futuristic vibes. This is the SCHRADE Inert. Last but not least, for $29.99, we're going to talk about this goofy little guy. This is the Outback. AUS 10 steel, drop point blade, nitro assisted opening technology, and a liner lock system that is relatively easy to do one-handed, even though it is spring assisted. Now, this little stinker did not do well on the cutting test, but that is also because it's serrated, right? And serrated blades serve a different purpose. They're not going to slice through. They're just not going to slice through things in the same way that a non-serrated blade is going to. For $29, you got the straight edge right here, so you don't always have to commit to the serrations. Oh, not the sharpest though. Action on this feels very powerful for for how little it is, that is very powerful action. This is a sturdy little guy. It does have tip down carry, which is interesting. But some people don't like tip down carry, but honestly, when you're taking your knife out, it's already like there in position to deploy. So I don't know why some people are against it. The Outback, still under 30 bucks. Still fun if you want to try out an assisted folder at a lower price point. Overall pick out of all of those would have to be the Steelhead Tanto or the Divergent. But I like testing out the less expensive blades because not everyone has $200, $300, $400 to drop on a knife. I know I don't. I'm just fortunate enough to do what I do and get them for free. I would love to hear your comments and see if you guys have any experience with SCHRADE. Okay, I'll link all of these knives below if you are interested in checking out one of these newer SCHRADEs. Very fun. Forgive me, I'm a little out of it. I've been recovering from COVID, so kind of been sick. But thank you all very much. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, whatever time of the week it is for you. And until next time, you guys rock. Thank you so much.